All right, so here's what we got to do. Go ahead and close your eyes for this part. And a couple of rules here. No peeking, first of all. And you can't ask any questions. So you just got to do it to the best of your ability. First thing I want you to do is fold this sheet of paper in your hands in half. Perfectly in half. Okay, now tear off the upper left-hand corner with your eyes still closed. Debbie, she's such a cheater.
I know. I tried.
Now fold it in half once more. And with it folded in half, tear off the upper right-hand corner. And now fold it in half one more time.
I don't even know where the corner is.
And tear off the lower left-hand corner of the sheet of paper.
Oh, it's like impossible.
Okay, now go ahead and open your eyes and let's unveil our beautiful creation.
Mine looks like a t-shirt with a hole in it.
Okay, so look around the room. Look around the room.
It does.
So here's the thing. This is always the challenge with communication, is that we all have the same instructions. We all have the same sheet of paper, but look at what we ended up with.
Is yours right? Because you had your eyes open?
There really isn't a right to this,
Okay.
because, right, it depends on how you turn the paper.
Okay.
Like last time, my paper looked like quarters. So each time you do it, it can turn out differently. And you know, I bring that up because at the very beginning, when we talk about a superior customer experience, which is what we're going to be talking about today, communication is always going to be the key to it. And it's communication across the board. It's communication with the customer, communication with each other, because when we talk superior customer experience, it takes everybody. So I wanted to clear that up because I think when we look at this core value, what I'm finding is that people tend to want to focus this on customer service and put all the pressure on customer service to deliver that superior customer experience. But this isn't just about customer service. This is a customer experience. So that's how quickly they get their package, what their package looks like, how people are on the phone, how their salesmen treat them, did they get their pricing quickly, you know, if they came and visited the place, did it look nice? I mean, it's all across the board. And clearly what we know is that communicating is not easy. You know, it takes effort. If you guys could have asked questions along the way, it's like, are we turning the paper right or left? You know, upper corner, should it be folded there? I mean, we could ask questions. So when we look at that customer experience, it does start more often than not with customer service, right? Because they're the ones that are going to answer the phone probably 70 to 80% of the time and have that first contact with the customer. So communication is vital, and why do you suppose that is? Why is communication so vital?
You have to know everything that's going on. Knowing what the customer wants, knowing what we can provide the customer.
Right. And, I mean, also it's the first impression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes, oftentimes, people, and you'll have to forgive me sometimes because a lot of times when I talk about these things, the majority of the last 25 years I spent in pastoral ministry, but they would tell us that someone's made up their mind whether they're going to return within the first 7 minutes of being there. Even though you have this hour and 15 minutes, it really shows you the importance of the first thing that they come in contact with. And I think that's true across the board with, you know, if you ever go to a restaurant, you've pretty much decided within that first, you know, did the hostess greet you, or do they pretend you're not there? And that's going to determine whether or not you're looking at it going, hey, this is a place we're going to come back to or not come back to. So it's really, really important. We only get one chance to make a first impression, oftentimes. Sometimes more, but we should never assume that. In fact, in communication, assumption is a big no-no. I learned something that was groundbreaking to me about 5 years ago, but every time I share it, people are like, oh yeah, I've known that forever, Stan. But you know, if you break down that word assume, you know, it makes an ass out of you and me anytime we assume. Anytime you've had, I mean, if you've had problems in a relationship though, a lot of times it's because of assumptions. Well, I thought you meant this, or I thought you meant that, and you got to ask questions. So the first contact customers have with Life Assist may be you. We don't want to assume it's going to be customer service. Maybe the first exposure is going to be that they call on a day when customer service is short, and the phone rings over there, and Corey, you pick it up because somebody's been doing that. Maybe they walked in the wrong door because somebody was walking out. Maybe their first exposure is in the warehouse. Who knows? We just can't assume that it's like, well, that's their job. You know, my job is something else. Because that first impression can have a powerful, powerful effect on us. So I got this clip I want to show you. That's, of course, an exaggerated customer service experience, but let's take a look.
Enjoy your flight. Thanks. Hello. Oh, I'm sorry. We're only boarding rows 9 and above right now. You'll have to wait.
Well, I'm in row 8.
Please step aside, sir.
It's just one row. Don't you think it's okay if I...
We'll call your row momentarily. Step aside, sir. Thank you for waiting. We'd like to continue boarding the aircraft now. We're now boarding all rows, please. All remaining rows. Hello. Enjoy your flight.
So, is he going to enjoy his flight? Maybe, but that's not very nice to the people on the plane, is it? Because now, because of that first experience, when he gets to the next people in line, he's already on edge, he's mad, he's frustrated, and it's not real nice to the next people. And it's funny when we watch it because we've probably all had experiences like that. I mean, have you ever had an experience like that where you just had some exchange with you know, somebody that just left you with a bad taste in your mouth?
Yeah. Speaking of restaurants, there's this little restaurant in Carmichael. I don't even remember what it's called. But they're supposed to have really good pizza. So we went and checked it out. We go in the door, there's like nobody there. It's like empty. Like thinking, are they opened or closed? So we go sit down at a table. There's nothing that says like seat yourself or there's nobody there. So we go sit down and sit at the table and nobody's like there. So the lady comes out and she's finally like, oh, like what can we get for you guys, blah, blah, blah. And me and my husband were like, you know what, we're just gonna go. So we just left. We didn't even order because there was like literally nobody there, like at all.
All right.
It was crazy.
Nobody there to greet you as you walked in the door, bad experience. Anyone else want to share some dirt, bad experiences they've had?
I'm trying to think of one.
I know I'm a big Apple user. You'll see my Apple products everywhere. I've been an Apple convert for years, and one of the reasons why is I used to do a lot of video editing with church, and my PC would constantly crash, and I'd lose a day's worth of work. And so one time, you know, my boss just said, well, try my computer out, and I was done in 20 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Went out and got myself an Apple. And Apple prides itself on their customer service, you know, but I don't use iTunes. And one of the reasons I don't use iTunes is about 10 years ago, they locked me out from a ton of my music. Probably a couple $1,000 worth of music, okay? because I was one of these early digital users. I had all kinds of playlists. I use them for, different things in church and different, even games we played with the kids on the road. We used to have a Name That Movie. So when we were on road trips, we'd say like, all right, what movie is this from? All that stuff. Locked me out all kinds of stuff, and I could not figure out how to get in there. And they're passing me off, and I finally get to the manager. And the manager says, well, Apple and iTunes are not really connected. And I was like, are you serious? Are Apple and the iPod not connected? Are Apple and the iMac not connected? I mean, it's got an I there. It's your insignia. Your Apple emblem is all over iTunes, but wouldn't budge, wouldn't help me. And I said, man, I am not going to use iTunes anymore. And they didn't care. And so it's been a hassle, a total hassle. But I downloaded Amazon Music in the early stages. And I use Amazon Music all the time now on my Apple products. If you would open this up, that would be my default music is Amazon Music. And Apple still tries to do that. But because of that experience, I'm in that place. Like even last night, Andrew comes up with this new song he wants for his ringtone. And Apple wants me to subscribe to their monthly music plan in order to get this one song. And I'm like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing that. So now I got to go home and download it onto Amazon, transfer it over to iTunes so that I can put it on as a ringtone. But that's what I've decided to do because they made me so upset with that because it was a big deal to me. It was a lot of music. So those are those experiences where it's like, could they have done something different to make an advocate out of me instead of someone saying, like, hey, go onto iTunes and download this song? And I'm like, nope, bet me I'll go out and buy the CD before I do that. My mom, when my dad passed away, had a death certificate in hand and went into Sprint to try and cancel his cell service. And I'm not kidding, had the customer service agent look at her and say, death is not a reason to terminate a contract.
Oh my gosh.
To which my mom turned around to the people in line and said, are you sure you want to sign up? Yeah, they were not letting her end. And when we think about these bad experiences, I'm not sure about you, but for the majority of people, bad experiences stick in there like glue. Like I can tell you this iTunes experience like it was yesterday, and it was 10 years ago. They stick like glue, and Psychology Today had a little article that they published first in 2003 and again in 2016. It kind of explains why, and it'll actually help you look at the news and everything and go, oh, so that's why they do that. Political campaigns. Why do insults once hurled at us stick inside our skulls, sometimes for decades? Why do some people have to work extra hard to ward off depression? The answer is for the same reason political smear campaigns outpull positive ones. Nastiness just makes a bigger impact on our brains. And that's due to the brain's negativity bias. Your brain is simply built with a greater sensitivity to unpleasant news. The bias is so automatic that it can be detected at the earliest stage of the brain's information processing. Think about it, kids, one of their first words is what?
No.
Exactly. They learn no before yes. In fact, about 95 to 98% of kids learn no before yes. It's just automatic to us. And that's why the news, they've done experiments with this where we're like, man, why doesn't the news do positive news? Because nobody watches.
Good day. I watch.
But when they've tried to do it with these regular news networks,
Not really news.
yeah, it's more fluff, right? But that's why with the news, that they try to do it and nobody will watch it. But if they do negative, it's like, oh my gosh. And after a while, we're like, wow, I'm learning about murders in Cleveland, Ohio, and this and that. And then they throw a puppy in there at the end so that you think, oh, well, that was a nice report. We're just more wired for that. And I know as we're starting, you're going, man, this is bad news. It gets even worse because of this. Dissatisfied customers will share with 3 times more people than satisfied customers.
You bet. Yeah.
They will share on average with 9 to 15 people. Do you know what they did to me? 13% will share with over 20 people, and 86% will never do business with you again. 42% satisfied share with on average 4 to 6 people. Less than half the amount, 42% will be back if they're satisfied. And now we have one of these added dimensions. Do you guys have Facebook? You ever seen those things that people are throwing up now? Like, you will not believe what happened to me at this place today. They'll have a bad customer service experience and plaster it all over Facebook. It's one of my pet peeves, and a lot of times I just take those off, because if you've been in the customer service industry for any amount of time, you're like, come on, man. Everyone's entitled to a bad day. Give them a break. But it's unfortunate, because if you're to look at, go back to PowerPoint again real quick.
Sorry.
If you're to look at kind of the ratios of what we need to do if a bad experience comes along, it takes roughly 40 positive experiences to undo the damage of a single negative review. And it's because of what we just talked about, our attraction to the negative, that we're more prone to share the negative, all those kind of things added up. A customer who has a negative experience is highly likely to share that experience by leaving a bad review, especially if they feel ignored, like they feel like it's the only power they have. So they're more prone to kind of go out there and do it. A customer who has a positive experience, on the other hand, is unlikely to leave a good review. They're just going to come back, but they're not going to throw it out there. And this is from Inc. magazine, by the way, and I have that article in there as well. I have some articles here that if you guys want to pick them up later. So only 1 in 10 happy customers leaves a good review. And that's why when we see them at Life Assist, I always make it a point to email that person and say, hey, you must have really made an impression on them, because most people will not leave a positive review. Your company or product rating out of 5 stars, typically out of 5 stars, reflects an overall average of good and bad reviews. So if your goal is to maintain an overall rating of 4 stars, you'll need 4 5-star reviews to make up for every 1-star review. And assuming that only 1 out of every 10 happy customers leaves a positive 5-star review, and knowing that it takes 4 5-star reviews to make up for each 1-star review, you can figure it takes 40 positive customer experiences to undo the damage of a single negative review. And it goes true even as I was preparing for this. I'm looking for the video clips. Bad customer experience. They're everywhere. I mean, YouTube is just covered with them. People going in with their smartphones, and they're just trying to rile up people to get a nice little, because people will watch it, and they won't watch the other end. And then if I go, there was one with this Starbucks manager we're going to watch in just a minute, which was unbelievable. But then when you go in good customer experience, all it is training videos. Nobody's going in with their smartphone going, you really made me feel special today. Can I get you on camera? They don't do that. It's all training videos or TED Talks. They don't film them. And this just solidifies what I was just sharing with you moments ago. We're drawn to the negative. We remember the negative. And that's why we need to take special care of our customers and turn those negatives into positives. Because one negative situation can go viral and cost you dearly. So I'm going to show you this customer experience in just a second. I want, Emily, if you can pass those out. Usually I pass these out at the end, but I want, as we're talking, if a thought comes to your mind, go ahead and put it in there. That's just, some random couple of questions I have for you at the end. Because I think when we write things down, we just remember them more. So there was a bad experience at Starbucks. Now, guys, I've been to Starbucks all over the place. I've been to a Starbucks in England before. And I love Starbucks. I do. So this is not a rip at them at all. It's just something that happened, plain and simple. So we're going to watch that now. So Emily, why don't you cue that Starbucks one up? And this is actually a clip. Before we do that, before we play it, this is actually a clip that I think you're going to feel for as you see this. it's not the actual footage. There's some of it in there, but it's actually a news story where she tries to explain her side of the story. Let's go ahead and watch.
A Starbucks employee is caught on camera losing it with a customer. While she's no longer employed by Starbucks, she is telling her side of the story to our Mickey Hickey.
This is the angry rant from an Elmhurst, Queens Starbucks employee that went viral. The video begins with the employee screaming at the customer, seemingly over a Frappuccino cookie straw. When the customer asks to speak to the manager, the employee continues to yell, saying she is the manager. The customer Ruby Chan wrote about the rant on her Facebook page, which was posted on the Pix 11 page and immediately got 750 shares with 250,000 reached and counting. The Starbucks district manager then offered the customer a $100 gift card.
It was like a ticking time bomb for me. So I've been disrespected by customers all the time. This is not the first time. I've had logs thrown at me.
The employee, who would only give her name as Melissa, says she quit and was not fired and said the video only tells one side of the story.
She kept calling me names, and then she took the Frappuccino straw. She kept pointing it at my face. So I was already getting really upset, but then when I asked her to step to the side, she started getting a couple of other customers riled up. So I had 5 other men cursing me out.
Some Starbucks customers were upset when they saw this employee rant.
On this video, I can't see the customer doing anything.
The customer performed just good.
I think they shouldn't treat any customer like that. They shouldn't have like shouted at them.
A statement from Starbucks. The customer's experience is not reflective of service our baristas provide. The employee was immediately suspended and no longer works for Starbucks. Our leadership team has reached out to the customer to make things right. That now former Starbucks employee had worked here for 5 years. She's 25 and she's now looking for another job. From Elmhurst, Queens, McGee Hickey, Pix 11 News.
Do you feel for her?
Yeah, no.
You don't? No.
Not one bit.
Okay. I kind of felt for her because I've traveled enough to see some people treat employees in retail so bad, it's embarrassing. I've seen them try to get people riled up, but here's the thing, guys. This is the news story, and you see that it got 1 million views. The real one, it's not the news story, as of the time when I went and looked at it on there, had 5.8 million views.
Look at you wearing those sunglasses.
Yeah. You think it didn't affect Starbucks? I mean, Starbucks came out with an official statement because 5.8 million views, I mean, that's going to affect the bottom line at some point. This is not what we teach about customer service. The employee was suspended. That was accurate. They didn't fire her. They suspended her. 5 years as an employee. She's a good employee. Okay, you don't last somewhere like Starbucks for 5 years unless you're good. You don't make it to manager unless you're good. At first, when I saw this, I had to ask Polly, I'm like, well, that's Queens. From what you've told me, that's what everyone in New York's like anyway, right? She had this story in New York at first where she said, everyone's been really nice until I asked them, saying, I heard that New Yorkers were rude. And they're like, well, that's because you're not from around here. See, once you've been here for a while, then we'll start being rude to you. But they actually, so the employee was suspended and then quit, and then the patron was given a formal apology and a $100 gift card, which I know my first reaction to that was, man, you know, that the customer, in my mind, I feel like they provoked, you know, because when you're hearing the manager share their side of the story, and from what I've seen enough, and having, part of me is tainted because I watched these videos all day long, and then I had to go home and pet my dog for a while because I was so angry and worked up from watching the way that people treat others in customer service. But here's the thing, again, it doesn't matter. We can't do that. We don't ever want to be caught on YouTube because of something that happened in the way that we treated the customer. We don't want it to end up on Facebook because it's the way that we treated the customer. We just don't want that to happen. So we've got to put so much care into our customers that we wow them, right? We start getting our feedback. We start getting feedback like this, right? Where Roger says, yes, I was wowed. Where Jeff, I knew Debbie was going to be here, so I put them up there. Debbie's super helpful and amazing. I like this one. This one's not too old, from Becky, where she said, Aaron from the Bottle of Fire just texted me a picture of his delivery from Life Assistant Fit. Ridiculously awesome. I ordered this at 4:04 p.m. yesterday, and it's here already. We love those, right? That's what we want to see, and there's a reason we want to see that.
Just an FYI, Jeff from Columbia River sent me a $10 Starbucks card.
Did he really? And you're like, Starbucks, really? Have you seen this clip? But this is what we want people to experience, and we want them to experience it so much that we actually put this at the bottom of emails. This is an option for you to put, did I wow you today? Leave a comment by clicking here. We invite them to do that. I asked Ramona, I actually asked her, I said, okay, so I see these positive ones you send out all the time. Do we get negative ones? Now, Ramona said in all the years that we've been doing this, she actually only remembers 2 we've ever got that were negative. So that's outstanding. Now, that is not to say that we don't get them. I don't want us to get so comfortable that we think, we're doing it so well that that's not going to happen. That's where we rely on our sales reps, because a lot of times they will tell their sales rep things that we need to improve on before they'll tell us, because they know they'll light a fire. Okay, the reason this is so important, though, and the reason I'm spending so much time on this is one of our core values. The core values are the fundamental beliefs of a person or organization, guiding principles that dictate behavior and can help people understand the difference between right and wrong. That's what a core value is. And here's our core value, 1 of 5. It says, deliver a superior customer experience. That's the one we're talking about today. And that statement says so much. What are some things you see in that statement? Just the words by themselves, what do you see?
What do you want me to see?
Just whatever comes to your mind.
Okay, so experience sticks out at me.
Okay.
Right, experience that. So I'll just throw an example out there. When I hear it's not superior customer service, right? It's superior customer experience.
Absolutely.
Right, that's the word that comes out to me. And when you get these guys or you get these gals on the phone, and you just want them to have a good experience. It's not like, oh, I get good customer service. That's not what it's about. It's making that experience for them very pleasant, very, very nice, very fast, easy, and just know when they hang up that they have had a really nice experience.
Absolutely. And you know what's cool about that word is that removes it from just being customer service, too.
Yeah.
That means if Stacy calls to collect money, it's got to be a superior customer experience. It means the guy's packing the box, superior customer experience. It means all of it.
It means if they sent you in a quote, you email them quote back in 2 seconds, it's the all-around experience.
Exactly, exactly. What else you see in there?
Superior, like going above and beyond.
Exactly. Superior is a powerful word. I mean, it's like we stand above the competition in this way. And it's such a powerful word. I'll give you an example. Last night I went to the movies with Andrew, and I decided, because, man, the boy's been bored in school, first of all. He keeps coming home. I don't have any homework. I'm like, I have homework. I had this vision of us doing homework together. And what's happening is I'm sitting at the table while he's playing Fortnite. And I'm a little envious of it. So I'm like, we're getting you out tonight. So we go down to El Dorado Hills to the IMAX theater. And I've been so spoiled with these recliners now. I'm like, what's the deal? How come my feet aren't kicking up? Where's my feet? Andrew, go check it out. See what's going on with our feet. I can't find the control. Oh, those are the older seats. So from the moment I walked through the door, first of all, I paid an exorbitant amount for these tickets, but they were nice. They were friendly. You know, the snack bar was all fresh stuff, and there was no line. But was it a superior customer experience? No, because my feet did not kick up. I mean, for the price I paid for those IMAX tickets, I was expecting someone to be massaging my feet while they were kicked up, right? Superior is that kind of word, though. It's not like if you were to say, deliver a satisfactory customer experience, then they did their job. You know, even deliver a good customer experience, I would say they did their job. Was it superior? No, because my feet didn't kick up. Superior is a lot. And so we've got to remember that, because from our perspective, we might look at it and go, we're giving them a superior customer experience. And they're like, no, you're giving me a good customer experience, but I don't know if it's superior, because superior sets you apart from the competition, right? And customer experience is the total relationship your customer has with your organization through communication, through interactions and transactions. It's the whole package. And we've got to make sure everyone here understands that, because even as I've been here, when we talk about this core value, they tend to want to put it as superior customer service. Not pressure on you guys. No, it's not that. It's the whole experience they have. So it's the salespeople that are walking in the door. It's when we're at trade shows. It's it's when they're working with contracts, when they're working with finance, when they're working with the warehouse. It's the whole experience. Now, when we go back to that, here's another interesting word in there. Deliver. What does deliver mean?
You will always have, always get. I don't know.
You're taking it to them.
You got it, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not like we try. It's we deliver. So, again, we are going to bring this. So if a problem comes and it's standing in the way of this core value, then we have to fix it. I had a boss, interestingly enough, Ross Clark. We got all our racks in the warehouse we're getting from Ross Clark. He was my first boss out of high school. And Ross was like this total positive guy who had such an influence on me. I only worked for him for about 7 months. But he would put these little positive sayings all around, so I started doing it at my house, right? Put on your happy day. I don't remember what they were, but I do remember this one. He said, when you take a problem and you fix it, it's like turning lemons into lemonade, right? You ever eaten a lemon?
Not by itself.
Okay, not by itself. I used to, this is honest confessions time, when Lindsay was little, my oldest, man, she made the best facial expression when you gave her a lemon. So, I know it's Holly and I sometimes would just give her a lemon, like, because she'd take it every single time. Put it in her mouth and just with his face. But, most people don't like lemons, but they still drink lemonade, because it's sweet and all those kind of things. So go back to Starbucks for a moment, right? Here's their core values. And think about that manager. So Starbucks says, this is what we're committed to. This is what our employees will give off when you walk into a Starbucks. Creating a culture of warmth and belonging where everyone is welcome. Do you think she was doing that?
No.
And she's the manager, setting the tone for the rest of the employees there. Acting with courage, challenging the status quo. You might be able to make the argument that she was doing that. Number 3, being present, connecting with transparency, dignity, and respect. Probably not. Transparency, yeah. Dignity and respect, not so much. How about delivering our very best in all we do, holding ourselves accountable for results? No. She got on the news and explained herself, and the minute she did that, accountability is gone. It's like, I got to tell my side of the story. It doesn't matter. I mean, you just don't treat people like that. You got to walk away before you treat people like that. And then the last one, we're performance driven through the lens of humanity. Probably not. You got humanity in there, and you got someone yelling and screaming. And the most disturbing part of that whole video, actually, for me, was the way that she was just, customers were walking out, and she's like, bye, bye. Like, I don't care. I don't give a rat's tiny what you do. I mean, she really snapped. Yeah, you've been doing this a long time. Have you ever had a moment where you're like, somebody needs to take this phone? Okay.
Yeah, there is this one customer, and he has beat up each one of my girls. I think he calls them like maybe once every 6 months, and he's a CPR trainer out in the city. His name is Brad, and he has beat those girls up something awful. I mean, he will say, "Did you just say yeah? I will not allow you to speak to me that way, and if you want to speak to me with that kind of language, blah, blah, blah." And so he's always beat them up. I know he's beat Daniela, Lauren, and it has went around the whole thing, and he does it probably about every 6 months. Well, I came in and worked a 7 o'clock shift, and I was there all by myself and running orders one day. And I had to talk to him, right, being the manager. And he'll berate me too. And he'll like, you know, you have these young girls in there, they don't have any respect, and blah, 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 blah. He hit me at 7:30 in the morning, and I said, "Life Assist is Debbie, may I help you?" And he was like, "Is this Life Assist?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, it is." He's like, "You don't have to speak to me that way. I didn't hear what you said." And I was like, "Oh," I thought, "It's Brad." I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry."
Why?
I'm like, "I'm sorry, Brad." And I said, "Yeah, it is Life Assist." And he goes, "You know what? I don't really care for your tone right now. In fact, why don't you go ahead and pass me to the next representative? Because I don't want to place my order with you." And this is how awful he's been to the girls before. He's never really, and then if he gets me as a manager, then he's not as grumpy, but he has always beat those girls up so bad. And I said, "Well, Brad, I'm the only one here right now." And he's like, "All right." So then he gives me a hard time through that whole order. And I kept on thinking to myself, am I at the point where I can tell him, you know, I don't need to his business anymore? And I kept on thinking, but where's that going to get me? What's going to happen? But I don't think that I should be beat up like this, right? Yeah. And so there's been times where it's like, where do I draw the line? And 25 years or whatever, he's the only one that has ever given us a hard time. But yeah.
Yeah, we're really fortunate in our industry because
right?
Most of the guys are, they're pretty respectful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that was that's the only reason it's really fresh, because it only happened about a month ago.
Yeah.
And that was a rough one for me. And it's hard for my girls to take too.
It really is.
Yeah. And he's just so evil, and there's no reason for it. And I have a hard time understanding how come somebody would want to treat another human being that way. So
and maybe that's why I connected with that Starbucks manager, because I've witnessed it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Even sometimes when we're in restaurants and my kids are complaining about it taking too long, and I'm like, we don't know what their day's been like. We don't know what's going on back in the kitchen. You know, just, it's all right. It's still going to come, you know. Maybe that's what I felt for, is just moments like that. Because it's hard. And that's where, you know, when there's a team, there may be times when it's like, I can't take this one right now. You got to stand in the gap for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm about to go Starbucks on somebody,
right.
You know, or whatever it is. We used to
call
it postal, you know, now
right.
we're going to call it.
And I was thinking, if I could only let loose.
Yeah.
If I could let loose.
What happened to you?
I will hurt you. I could hurt you verbally. But I just had to hold it back.
I remember losing it with a guy as a pastor once. I was young, but this guy used to do the same thing. He would berate everything, and he did it we had a staff of 3, and he said something to me about growing up in a protected Christian environment, and that set me off because it's like, I didn't grow up in some protected Christian environment. You know nothing of my life, and I let him have it. And you know what? We never saw him again. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, my boss was kind of thanking me. He's all, "What did you say to him?" I'm like, "I don't remember. I just went red."
I've been on the receiving end of that as well. My first job was customer service at Domino's, and then
I saw a Domino's video,
and I
last
became
night.
assistant manager at Domino's, so I had to deal with all of the upset customers.
Oh.
So yeah,
There was
my
a bad
pizza
one.
was cold, my soda was warm, constant, just being berated over food.
Yeah.
And your clientele, right? I mean, you've got them from all walks of life.
Absolutely.
At least with our clientele, we have one of the higher standards, and but like that retail, it's rough.
It's rough.
rough.
I
Yeah.
had someone throw a stapler at me before.
Oh wow. Was that a
Rayleigh's. I worked at customer service desk at Rayleigh's, and he came in every single month to pay the bills or whatever, and we'd leave like a stapler out for them to like staple their stuff together. And he came in this particular day, and his kid kept pushing the customer service button, and I'm like, "Can you please tell him to stop?" Because that alerts other people to come up and help me. And he's like, "No, he can do whatever he wants." And I was like, "Okay, no worries." And then so I did his stuff, and I usually I would like staple his papers for him, and
Yeah.
I just like set them on the thing by the stapler, and I was like, "Okay, well, have a great day." It's like staple my papers for me. And I was like, "Oh, the stapler's there for you guys to staple your own stuff. I'm helping this next customer right here, I'm sorry." So he staples it and chucks the stapler at me, and I was like, "Have a great day."
Wow.
And then a week later, I went into like a liquor store, and he was working behind the counter at the liquor store.
Oh my gosh!
So I go up to the counter, and he's like, he knew exactly who I was. Didn't say hello, didn't greet me, anything. Just
Said, "Yeah, stapler."
I almost wanted to say hello. I was nice to him. Thanks. Have a great day.
It's so tempting
Yeah.
sometimes.
No, it is. I wanted to go off and use the stapler.
Yeah.
I couldn't because there was other customers there. I wasn't gonna make.
Yeah, but when we say, when it's part of our core value, and we say a superior customer experience, it's like we can't, because that whole statement says we do more than you ask. And there's a well-known report that was published by Bain and Company in 2005, and they're just at one of these survey companies like Gallup, but they focus specifically on business. And they picked 256 companies and their customers. So they had permission from the companies to survey their customers too. And in this report, 80% of the executives believed they were delivering a superior customer service. But 95% of those companies said they were customer focused. But in the same report, only 8% of the customers agreed with that assessment. And it all goes back to that word again, because it doesn't mean the customers didn't feel like they were satisfied or anything like that, but when we're talking superior, it means you're going above and beyond what's expected. And in order to deliver a superior customer experience, we have to think like a customer, right? What is it they expect? Because what they expect, if they get what they expect, then that's satisfactory, right? I'm married. Right? Ring on my finger, and I love my wife. You guys hear me talk about her a lot. She's in New York. It makes me really sad. Sometimes I come in looking like a puppy dog, and now you know why. I guarantee you. Actually, Ashley, you have a ring on your finger.
I do. I'm engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is he satisfactory?
No, he's superior.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. You don't get into those going, well, this person's satisfactory. So, and if they're in the room, they may look at you like, say, what? We don't do that. We want it to be a wow. A wow experience. Like, I even remember, like with my wife, 27 years, and this is the last thing I'll say, I promise. But I remember 27 years ago, like I look at it now and I'm like, I do. I say, wow. I mean, she's better than I ever would have imagined 27 years ago. That's a wow moment. And we get those. And I love seeing them. Like, this one I loved because it was someone new, and it really stuck out to me. Brett Archer, you've finally been replaced. Kidding. This is my way of sending you guys Life Assist a huge warm fuzzy on the hiring of Vanessa. She's a new rep down in Texas. She's awesome. She's motivated and has helped me tremendously in this short period of time. You guys definitely nailed it. Have a fantabulous day. I mean, isn't that great? And this is Corpus Christi. This is Cocoa Krispies fire. That's been a tough account to get into. So with Vanessa, even though we haven't necessarily seen a lot of business yet, she's getting in there, and she's giving them wow moments where it's going to happen for her. That's a wow. So we got to think like a customer. So I'm going to give you this little tool. And tools are only useful, I've heard, the tools are only useful if you use them, right? And you guys, Corey, are you very tool inclined?
Absolutely.
You are? Okay. Deb, are you tool inclined? Ashley, how are you with tools?
Like what kind of tools?
I don't know, like skill saws and.
Oh yeah, no.
I used to tell the guys at the church, I said, there are people in this world who fix things and people who break things. I'm very gifted in the latter category. But this is a tool that helps you think like a customer. Because if we were to look at the customer's journey, it doesn't just happen. It's a journey, just like we say. So even when we look at this from Vanessa early on, this doesn't even mean that they placed an order. This just means, and maybe they did, but this just means that they're already having a wow experience in this journey. Okay, so we have to think like a customer, which means we have to use I statements. You know, like I need a backboard, I need a quote, I need a pizza. I mean, I actually have heard of customers calling a particular place that doesn't even have pizzas and saying, I really need a pizza, and then ended up getting the pizza.
Zappos.
Is that Zappos? Okay, that must have been, yeah, I was watching one of the videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. That must have been one I did. Okay. Yeah, think like a customer. I mean, what are their goals? What are their actions? What are their thoughts and feelings as they're going through this process? And then look at the stages that they go through, and that's what this is for, is just the stages they go through. You got the pre-sale, right? And that the pre-sale is where they're first introduced to the brand of Life Assist. So what do they see? If someone were to experience Life Assist for the first time, what are they going to see?
Knowledgeable staff.
Okay. Knowledgeable staff.
What are they going to see? The website? They're going to come in? Is it a walk-in?
Well, any of the above.
Okay.
Because if they were to walk in, what are they going to see?
6 pretty girls sitting at the desk.
Okay. So maybe if they're coming in and they're, you know, someone who needs that in their life, they're going to go, man, I'm off to a good start here.
Yeah.
But what else are they going to see?
And inviting, like, sitting here.
Okay.
Patch boards.
So that's important, isn't it? So it's good for us to look at that area. If you ever happen to be walking by and going, how does this area look? If the magazines are all in disarray, just fix them. You know, we got the patch board out there because it is. It's a welcome, you know, here, we're going to help you. But if what they see when they walk in, the other important thing is you want to greet them right. You know, even if you can't help them right away, greet them right away. You know, like, who are you? Hi, I'm Stan. I did that with Ashley when you came for your job interview, and then she just suckered me in by going, that's a nice shirt. And I'm like, hire right now.
Also, he's sitting down. Hey.
Yeah, you like start having conversation. But I did.
Hook, line, and sinker.
I know. I got sucker written.
I know.
That's so nice. Hire. All right, so that's what they see. Brian earlier said, nice break room. What does that break room say? You know, it says that, you know,
We take care of
our people.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's important. The way you dress, that's why we want to have a professional appearance when they walk in there. It's like, it's casual Friday. It's all right.
Sorry, they
I
can't
didn't
see
want
what
you to feel bad,
they
so I
can't,
splattered
they
butter
can't,
popcorn
they can't
and
see it
so
anyway.
on.
So.
Yeah, I know, that's true. Where's my arms? Where's my midsection? All right. So that's what we want. When they see that, that's the appearance we want to give off. And licenses have done a lot of work in that over the last,
And a
5.
big, beautiful sign helps outside.
Absolutely. But even this along the wall says to them, we value what you do.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's what do they hear when they call?
Thank you for calling Life Assist.
That's what they should hear.
Happy voices.
Yeah. Like, you are the most important call I've gotten. And so we need to be aware of that, because if we're going to give them a superior customer experience, then that matters. What is their experience they get from you? And then we have all these venues, right? We have a trade show or a sales call where that's their first encounter with you. They have email. How do you give someone that superior experience through an email? Well, you want to be warm and friendly and informational, and if it's Brad, you want to make sure that you spell everything right.
Call him sir.
Phone reception, obviously, as people call, we want to give them that and walk in. How do you present yourself? Is it inviting? Is it warm, sincere, professional? And then the other thing we want to look at is how quick are we to respond. It's good to respond even if you don't have an answer yet. Just want you to know I didn't forget about you. We're still working on it. That will alleviate a lot of problems sometimes that you have just by letting them know you haven't forgotten. The problem sometimes that people have is they don't have an answer and they wait, and it's been like 3 days. And it would be good in the interim to just let them know, hey, we've hit some snags, really challenging. We haven't forgotten about you. We're working on that. Phones, how many rings does it take? We were talking this morning, one of my things that I hate in customer service is, and I do hate, man, I feel like kicking a puppy afterwards. It's pretty bad when it's like, what's your account number? What's this? What's that? And you give them all this information. It takes like 5 minutes, and then the guy picks up the phone and says, what's your account number? And it's like, why did I just give all that information only to do it all over again, right? We want to make sure that everything we do for the customer, there's a reason behind it. That's just stalling us on the phone. One of the guys finally just told me that. It's like, oh my gosh, that's just frustrating.
Wow, it's just fillers?
Yeah.
Wow.
How quickly the answers come. Obviously, if every time it's taken us 3 days, that's going to be a problem. But there are times when it's just, we hit challenges. But we do want to respond quickly. And remember, first impressions are powerful. And oftentimes we don't get a second chance to make a first impression. So that's just the pre-sale. That's just working it up. And then there's a sale. What promises were made? I mean, promises can come in a variety, the sale can come in a variety of ways, right? Website purchases, call-in, quotes, bids, contracts. And they're going to get an experience from each one of those, but all along the way, what promises were made? I was talking this morning, we had Brian in here, and we had Sherry in here. And it's good because salespeople are notorious for making all kinds of promises, and sometimes not even remembering those promises. Or maybe they make promises that it wasn't fair on this end to make that promise. And that's where that communication comes in again, that we've got to know. Because if you don't remember what promises, I guarantee you your customer won't remember what promises you made. They'll remember that. And then did we keep them? We got to keep those promises. And sometimes that's going to hurt to keep those promises. But it's better to do that. And Brian was actually sharing the story. There was a glitch on one of these betting sites early in the football season.
Yeah.
They ended up having to pay a guy $82,000. And the unfortunate thing for that betting company there is I think they did it too late. So I don't think it did anything to really give them some good PR because they dragged their feet for so long.
And then now they're like going, they're going to take 8,200 people and give them, or 82 people and give them all $1,000 or. Yeah, I just saw a clip on it this morning.
Yeah, they waited too long. So the thing you guys need to know is we've really empowered people to make those choices and to really think on the lines of keeping that relationship strong. Because when we do good on the sale, then perhaps after that, they're going to go into this category where they're being a customer. And that's where a relationship is established. And relationships are built on trust, right? You don't have trust in a relationship, what happens?
Falls apart.
Yep, falls apart. And there's expectations in relationships. And those are things that you're going to figure out all along the way. Actually, you're going to figure that out. You know, like we have these expectations. So I grew up, and Polly's mom was like Susie Homemaker. I told you I was going to talk about it. I'm talking about it. And so I had this expectation, even though it was unspoken, that oh, I'm going to come home, she's going to be Susie Homemaker, dinner's going to be ready. And Polly was like, homie, don't play that. You know, and so that was a problem along the way. And you know what else she didn't play? Like, well, I didn't know you were going to be leaving your jeans at the foot of the bed all the time either. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to help you out because I know you do laundry, and I'm not committed to the fact that these are dirty yet. I might actually wear them again.
Is that why men do that? Because my husband does it too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want these things.
But relationships are built on trust, and there's these expectations, and if expectations aren't met, what happens?
Disappointment.
Yeah. Exactly. There's disappointment. And so we've got to work through disappointment rather than have this. And if expectations are met, then what happens?
Trust. Great.
Or you're satisfied, right? But before you pat yourself on the back too much, that's all you have at that point of satisfaction. All right? That's not the wow part. That's just they're satisfied. Yeah. And expectations vary depending on your brand, and our brand says what? We're going to deliver a superior customer experience. So that's why it's important for us to think like a customer, because we may look at it and go, we did everything you asked. That's superior. And they're going to look at it and go, no, that's Amazon. Yeah. We want superior, although Amazon's pretty impressive for that sometimes. Not as impressive as, you know who I really liked, and my first exposure was out in Grand Island, and Andrew really liked him, is Jimmy John's. You should hear him talk about Jimmy John's.
Oh, they're quick.
It's just a sandwich,
They're
right?
quick.
They are quick. That was it. I'd be up there going, I'll have a, oh, hey, there it is. I mean, they are freaky fast. They're true to what they say. But he talks about, like, this is the best sandwich you're ever going to have in your entire life. And that's his expectation, and everyone's going to be let down with that expectation.
Yeah.
But if they go with freaky fast, they're going to go, wow, that was impressive. Like, there it is. So expectations vary based on your brand. We deliver a superior customer experience, which is one of our core values. And this means it's an identifying mark of who we are. And we want this to stick out. We don't want to look at it and say, well, Boundtree doesn't do that. Well, Boundtree doesn't promise that. You know, they promise something else. This is what we say we are. So don't be afraid to share this. But it has to be backed. So we have to do our part. So when we go out there, whichever department we're in, we keep this in our mind. We say, how am I, through my actions, delivering a superior customer experience? What does that look like for you? What would that look like for you, Emily?
What, delivering a customer?
Yeah, superior customer experience.
I would say just knowing what you're talking about, being honest, not promising something that you can't provide.
Right.
Just being polite, welcoming.
What about you, Ashley? I told you I was going to call her.
It's fun. I think just doing everything in my power to help them, and if I can't find somebody who can, I'm writing.
Okay. What do you think, Deb?
Yeah. All of the above. It's customers. What's the question?
Just for your part, what does it look like to deliver a superior customer experience?
Oh, okay. building that relationship, talking through with that customer, making sure that we're on the same page and, does that make sense to you? Am I answering all your questions right? Going above and beyond and like, okay, I changed your address in this system, but just knowing to take a step further and go, okay, I better go change it on the website so this doesn't happen again. Just taking that customer all the way through and making sure you've hidden all of the steps to make sure that they're completely satisfied all the way through.
Okay. What do you think, Corey?
If they're paying a lot for one product and we have something that's equal, offering them, a better solution, maybe something a little cheaper to save them some money, or maybe they can order more of them for the same amount.
Yeah.
When it comes to getting quotes, answering them as quickly as we can, giving them.
Yeah, and that's a great answer because that's going above and beyond. You're not just taking what they've given you, but saying, hey, we have this other option. And they can still say, no, we want this, but that's great.
I would say too for accounting, like especially Stacy, but I work on collections with her from time to time.
Yeah.
People owe us money, people get into tight spots, and just being able to work something out with them.
And she's really good at that.
Yeah, she's really good at that.
I've listened to Stacy, and she's got such a pleasant voice when she's talking. First of all, and that's a tough job. So know that even in finance, they're doing that. So we just have to look at our department and say, what does that look like for us? So part of what I do, is obviously I don't have a lot of customer interaction, but my part's with you guys. And so that's why these are so important to me when I give them out, because I know this is brand new for me, and I want to make sure that I'm doing things that are helpful for you guys. Because I want you to be able to do the best you can with your job so that we're all doing our part to be true to our mission. And no matter what your brand is, you can give people a superior customer experience. Here's 2 restaurants. Shadowbrook. You ever been to Shadowbrook?
No, I never heard of that.
It's in Capitola. And here's their website. It says there's no place like Shadowbrook. Established 1947. And then there's McDonald's. You can get a superior customer experience from either one of these places. Shadowbrook, when I go there, it says there's no place like it. Is there no place like McDonald's? There's 36,000 of them around the world. So there's, chances are like we can go there and is there any place like McDonald's? Well, yeah, if I go across a freeway, there's another one right there, right? And so they're different because their brand is, there's lots of places like us because we're everywhere. And you know what you're going to get consistently. But when I go to Shadowbrook, my expectation is high. There's no place like it. And guys, you go there, it's like Rivendell. I feel like you were like, where's Gandalf? I feel like Frodo and all these guys are going to follow. Because there's this long path in the garden, and you feel like you're there. And then there's this trolley elevator right here that's at the top. If you don't want to walk down their long path that zigzags, you can take this trolley that just slowly goes down there. And then you get down and they have this cigar room there when you first go in. And then they have this nice little bar because most of the time you're going to be waiting. And there is a dress code. You got to show up. It's business, casual, or formal. So you can't show up in tattered jeans and flip-flops. Your expectation is the food better be good. You look at the prices, you're like, man, this better be good. The ambiance is going to be world class. Down at the bottom here where they are, there's like a river right here. So you're right on the river. It's really nice. And it's a place for special occasions. It wouldn't be a place where we're sitting here like this going, hey, what are you doing for lunch? Hey, let's just whip on over to Shadowbrook, right? It's just not that kind of place. But if you are having a special occasion, they have lots of weddings there, obviously, things like that. Last time I went there was about 4 years ago when Lindsay and all my girls, we met at the beach at Potero Dunes, and Lindsay brought a boyfriend. And she doesn't introduce me to her boyfriends very often, so I'm like, we got to do something really impressive here. So we went to this place, and he was impressed. He stuck around, and I take sole responsibility for that. So what's my expectation of McDonald's?
It's
Same
fast.
service, yeah. Fast, safe, fast service.
Fast, it's going to be cheap, there's no dress code.
You know what number 2 is?
Yeah. Bathrooms are going to be clean. That's an expectation I'm going to have. Atmosphere is going to be consistent. You know, it's more or less going to look the same wherever I go. 36,899 of these as of 2016, which means it's probably like 40,000 right now.
Yeah, probably.
So different expectations based on brand. You can be disappointed at either one of these if they don't deliver. I mean, if Shadowbrook, if you went there and there was golden arches, you're like, I know 36,000 other places that look like this.
Yeah.
There's no place like it, right? McDonald's, if you go there, which happens more often than I'd like to admit, but when they act like you're annoying now as you come in there, like,
To get your order
hey,
wrong.
can I get an order? How hard is it to push the button? Right? You can be disappointed at McDonald's. Because what you want is your food's going to be fast, it's going to be cheap, and, you know.
Fries are gonna be cool.
Yeah,
Hopefully your chicken nuggets are edible.
yeah, exactly. I ordered chicken nuggets, not sponges for the sink.
No, rocks. Rocks. Stan, rocks.
All right. So there's different expectations based on brand. So if this is how we brand ourselves, what do you think our expectations for our customers are going to be? Here's what we say on our website. Here's a quote from Unknown. I've seen this quote a lot. Customers may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Jeff Bezos, who's he? Build a great experience. Customers tell each other about that. Word of mouth is very powerful. So here's our website. Personalized service. Appreciate that customers have a choice. I used to always end my service, and at the first service, Sherry was like, isn't that what Southwest Airlines said? And I'm like, well, I knew I heard it from somewhere. On Sunday mornings, I'd always be like, look, I know you have a bunch of places you can go on Sunday morning. I'm happy that you chose to be here with us. And she said, that's what Southwest said. I'm like, well, that's probably where I heard it. But they do have a choice. Our customers have a choice. And so they're coming to us, and we want to display that appreciation. Go the extra mile. That's what we say on our website. Build trust. Follow through faithfully on promises and commitments. Admit and apologize for mistakes. We are going to make mistakes along the way. It's just good that we own up to that and fix it. And like Debbie said, even be proactive in doing our best to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then we work as a team to influence the quality of a customer's experience. So, you know, if you were in customer service and you were waiting on a quote, you know, maybe you go over there and say, hey, is there anything I can do to help to speed up the process? You know, something like that. Everyone's pretty good about doing their job around here, but that's what it looks like if we're going to do that. Going the extra mile. I got to sit in the room the other day, and when Carrie was here, Carrie's helping us with some marketing things as an outside perspective, because sometimes you need that. And so we were just listening to stories about what made you proud to be a part of Life Assist, and that was such a cool thing for me to listen to all day. Because even though I was here a long, long time ago when I was a little kid, and I've had a couple of shorter stints in here, it's just cool to hear it. Sherry actually, on Christmas Eve once, drove to Reno to bring people a bunch of supplies because they forgot to order. So it was their mistake, but she took it up to them on Christmas Eve. That's going the extra mile. Christine talked about coming in on the weekend to build these kits during the Ebola scare, which is amazing. My favorite was actually Charisse, when she talked about this right when the Gulf War started. And this mom had ordered a trauma kit for her son who went over to Iraq. And Charisse wrote a little mom note in it and put it in there. And it blew the kid away. You know, he wrote back to his mom and said thanks. And if that was me, I think I would have been a customer for life at that point. Because that wasn't a huge thing. You know, it's just that personal touch. Sometimes it means just getting it done fast. Don't overthink it, but doing it with a smile on your face. And when you establish trust by doing this enough, that's when you get loyalty. And here's some of the comments, about loyalty. Thanks for the follow-up email, researching the product need. Life Assist is very helpful, and I always feel taken care of when asking a question. Great job. That's an established relationship. Toby B from Elephant Butt said, since I started working with Life Assist approximately 6 months ago, can't say enough about the customer service. It exceeded my expectations. True examples of professionalism. Thank you, Chelsea Camp, Danielle Delatorre, and the rest of the Life Assist team for going above and beyond to help me. Building loyalty. Tom, Lauren Gray went the extra mile, and then you got David. And David says government and non-government, but when you see, he says, I'm with 3 or 4 more, groups. And that's what's so important about this is these guys move around. And so a lot of times they're going to go to another department. And if you establish that loyalty, then all of a sudden you spread it out, to somebody else. And if loyalty's there long enough, then you're going to establish what is called advocacy. You want to take a stab at what you think an advocate is? Oh, I'm not supposed to show you that one.
Somebody who will sing your praises.
Yes. An advocate is like free advertising. That's when they start talking to other people about how great you are. Oh, you're looking for someone to get some stuff from? And the reason this next slide is, it's actually, I became an advocate for this place in Grand Island. It's just a coffee shop, right? And coffee shops are all over the place. Even in Grand Island, there was a Starbucks there. There was something called Caribou Coffee that has the greatest slogan ever. Life is short, stay awake for it. And, there was a new place downtown. That was a time when I actually thought I had died and gone to heaven. So I'm just walking down the street, checking on the construction of this place with it. Hey, Stan, come in here for a minute. We're trying to pair coffee with chocolate. You want to help? I was like, oh my gosh. And they had really good coffee. But this was my favorite, baristas. So here's what they got here. And I became such an advocate for baristas because they wowed me in so many ways. And again, just a coffee shop. But look at this. If you went there and got a latte, which is my specialty drink if I ever do a food drink, I rarely do them. But my kids or my wife would get them all the time, and they put a little whipped cream on there, and that's a chocolate-covered espresso. And that's their little personal touch. So a lot of times I would get their drinks for them and just go, oh man, they must have forgot. Actually, I think Abby after a while goes, wow, they put a whipped cream and an espresso bean on there. I'm like, oh, they've been doing that for years. She's like, I've never gotten one. Oh, sorry about that. So that was a special touch they did. And here's what I liked about them though. So this is where you order, all right? So if you walk in there, there's a little shop, you order in here, but here's their sitting room, which was my second office, right? And it's totally quiet. There's no espresso machine in there grinding away. You don't hear any of that. There's a fireplace in there because it's cold in Nebraska. And then they have music going through there, free Wi-Fi. So a lot of times I would go there to work. In fact, it's like sometimes I go in and just say, hold my calls. I'm trying to get my sermon done here. So, but when I walked in, they paid attention. So I would walk in, my drink was already sitting on the counter. Your dark roast, half and half. That's awesome. But it gets even better because after a while, they found out I had a coffee shop at the church, and they would sell me beans for wholesale. So I could use beans over at the same beans that Baristas has over at my coffee shop. And then after a while, they said, well, why don't you just call our supplier direct? So they hooked me up with their supplier to do that. And then Jules, who's the owner here, came over to our shop and taught our baristas, volunteer baristas, how to make a proper shot of espresso, which was another day I thought I died. Here, try this as a proper shot. By the end, I was like, this coffee's really good. All this coffee's great. That's better than that one, but that one's really good too. These are all really good coffees. And then she didn't like the way that our beans were grinding, so she's like, let me get you a new bean grinder. So she got us a commercial bean grinder and brought it over to the church there. And her husband would maintain the machines over there. I mean, it just goes on and on. Early on, she kind of hooked me with the whole fact that it was like, she handed me a coffee and it was like, wait a minute. And then she smelled it and she's like, this doesn't smell fresh enough. Are you sticking around? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to just be in there working on some stuff. So she brewed a whole new fresh batch and brought it into me. And I was like, oh my word, for a $2 cup of coffee. That's going above and beyond. So I became an advocate. And what did that look like for me? Well, anytime someone visited the church, I would send a personalized note. Okay, not a form letter, but I had little thank you cards, and I'd handwrite saying thank you for visiting, yada, yada, yada. And I'd enclose a $5 gift card for barista. It said, have a cup of coffee on us. And I would buy these $100 at a time, $5 gift cards, put them in there. How many people do you think I got to go to barista over the years? A lot.
A lot.
We gave them out as appreciation for our volunteer workers. We did a lot of things, but it was because I wanted them to be rewarded for the way that they were for me. And that's just a coffee shop, guys. So that's what being an advocate looks like. So when I look at it for us, deliver a superior customer experience. When I look at it for us, I think it takes everyone, don't you? I mean, there's no way that just customer service could give a superior customer experience. Because they may call up and they may go, well, Ashley sounded so pleasant on the phone, but it took me like 3 weeks to get my prices. And then when the box came, it was smashed and things weren't put together with care, yada, yada. You see what I mean? It can't be superior if that happens. So think about this. Part of our superior customer experience is giving each other a superior customer experience too. By doing our part in that, like customer service, sales, and facilities, right? That's the first impression. They call, they send an email, website, whatever. They go to a trade show, they run into one of the sales reps, or they walk through the front door and they see the facilities. Then there's products, though. Sometimes contracts are hung up because there's products that need to be introduced. So we've got to be fast about that. Finding and evaluating quality, technical advice. Quotes and contracts, obviously, let's get them the best pricing that they can get. Even trying to save them some money if we can. Purchasing, we got to look at inventory and availability. Finance, we got to keep that money flowing. Warehouse, we got to get orders out quickly and accurately. IT, we got to keep that website up. Keep technology running efficiently and readily available. Marketing, we got to communicate our brand, make it appealing. Human resources, we got to find good people and watch employees' backs. Compliance, we got to make sure we're legal. CEO, we got to inspire vision, keep them on track with mission. Did I cover all the bases? Except for me. I'm the gaps. But you see what I mean? It takes everyone. So it's when we deliver a superior customer experience, it's not just out there. It's in here. We practice on each other, treating each other the way we want, customers to be treated, doing our work to the best of our ability, so that in turn, that customer can have the best experience that they can, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As an example, Ashley sent over an email this morning, I believe, for Long Beach. Sent it over. It was a quote that she got from chat to quotes and also to Sylvia. Sylvia called in. I answered. She said, "Hey, is anybody working on this Long Beach?" I said, "I'm not. Nobody's working on it right now, but I can grab it if you need." She said, "Absolutely." Started going through it, and I was like, "Well, they're ordering this, but we have other products that we can offer them if you want to, talk to them and see if maybe they'll take subs." So Sylvia called them up and they said, "Yeah, absolutely. The only reason we are asking for that product is because LA County uses it." And they said, "Well, we'll take, what about this other one that you guys have offered for us?" So we're sending over 3 different quotes for 3 different products.
Yeah.
And Sylvia was telling me when she called back, she's like, they were so excited that I called and asked them
Absolutely.
if we can help them out with a better product for a cheaper price.
You know how rare that is? Because when we were going through building things at the church, I would constantly tell them, I want you to show me your Chevy Spark. I want you to show me, your midline, and I want you to show me your Rolls Royce. And let us decide. And they'd always come back with one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's just frustrating because from a customer's perspective, I want to see the big picture.
Yeah.
Give me some options, especially in this age that we live in this country that we live in. People are all about options.
Mm-hmm.
So if you offer it to them, the worst thing that's going to happen is they're going to say, nope, I want this one. That's fine. But, for goodness sakes, if they ask for it, that's part of that. That's part of that superior experience. And it's also a good example of the collaboration it takes.
And see, that was why it was really good that we see Sylvia on there. I knew it was like, remember at first I was telling you, just save the quote, we're going to send the quote over, and then we'll just ask the quote Q7645. Right. But then it was like, wow, we were at $40,000, right? So $40,000 one line item, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So then when we did that and CC'd Sylvia, and she had all of the information there that there's a guy, and Sylvia especially is one of the best sales reps to be like, why isn't he buying this? And so, yeah, that works really good all the way around.
Yeah.
So good job. Good job,
Good.
guys.
That's good.
And not only that, but purchasing got involved too with one of the items that we were offering. We previously had been offered like an exchange program for it. If they're using a different brand or if they have expired of their brand, we'll offer you 20% extra, 20% off.
Oh, wow.
So I went and talked to Christine. Christine called up the vendor and was like, hey, this is what we're working with. And they ended up getting in contact with Sylvia to talk about it and possibly even convert LA County.
Dang,
So not only was it Long Beach, but they're going in to talk about this, the Quick Clot versus the Celox.
Yeah.
Super sweet.
See, that's awesome, and that's what we're talking about when you go above and beyond.
And that's what the vendor did as well. They went above and beyond because they're the ones that got in contact with Sylvia.
Well, yeah, they're going above and beyond.
So they're going above and beyond to help us.
Order.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what we want, is again, just think about this as you go back. The sheet I gave you earlier, just one thing you can do to wow today. It doesn't even have to be a customer because it's a customer experience. One thing to wow. Maybe it's like, hey, I'm going to turn up the notch on this. I'm going to get it done faster, whatever. But just think of something you can do that can just, turn up that wow factor. Because I'm going to highlight a couple things in the library here as we wrap up. A lot of what we talked about today was taken from this book called How to Win Customers and Keep Them for Life. And I've read this book actually a couple of times. It was recommended to me when I was a pastor, actually, because a lot of the concepts in here, really, it's just about taking care of people. But he talks about the success syndrome in here, which is what happens to a lot of companies when they get to a certain point, they start getting lazy. And then they start losing key accounts because they're not caring for them the way that they used to. They're not forgetting what made them successful. This has been what's made us successful, and we need to not forget that. And that's why when we do something like this, we say, what's one thing we can do? Because that's how you keep it in front of you all the time. Another one that I would recommend is called Be Our Guest. It's a Disney book. So this is really about hospitality, but it's really about Disney and the way they go the extra mile to give people that experience. So it takes a little creativity to apply it to your position, but again, it's about giving them that superior experience, and that's why I recommend it. So check those out in the library. I got another workshop I just completed. It's called Harnessing Your Superpower. So that's going to be my next one that's coming up. Look for it in first week of October, first week of November, as long as she approves those dates. And we'll put that one before you. And it's going to feed real nice into our next core value, which is going to be value of teamwork, which is about collaboration. So thank you guys. I forgot to pass the roster around. Make sure you sign that, so we have record of you coming here. And don't forget about my feedback forms. You can drop those off at Jenny's
You got
desk.
my name on there? Yeah. I got 3:30 leaving, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then will you bring me one of those forms so I can fill that out?
Which one?
one of the feedback.
form.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
And then you can just drop these off at
I'll take it over here. Okay.
Jenny's desk
Okay.
or my desk. I don't care.
No, Michael.
There you
Michael.
Yeah, he
He must have got caught up.
either that or he was probably like, well, I'm late, so I'm just not gonna go.
Yeah.
He is kind of antisocial that way. We gotta work on Michael.
Did you read what he wrote on the board?
I did.
It's like, oh my god.
I'm gonna put a little announcement saying next workshop is at Michael's desk. Hey, thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. That was awesome.